Hi, Jasmine. Great to have you on here. Um, Excited to be having this conversation. But yeah, I think my first question will be, tell me a bit about Jasmine. The things that is common knowledge and some things that are not really common knowledge.
So, Sydney, firstly, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be talking with you. What can I tell you about myself? So, stuff that people know, I've been in the human resources profession for many, many years, a little bit longer than 2 decades. So, that's pretty much known. But what people may not know is that I used to work in a PR company and I wrote for a newspaper for a while. And I also owned my own consulting business at one point in time. Yes, linked to human resources, but very, very early in my career. Outside of work, I absolutely adore Formula One. It's a sport that myself and my family love. I don't know if you can see, but I've got the Formula One cars in the background. I used to work for Petronas.
Yeah.
And yeah, just spending time with my family and yeah, that's it. And reading. I love to read. I absolutely love to read.
You also write.
I do. I do. I've actually done a fair amount of writing. I was honored to be asked to contribute to a book, HR The New Agenda, a couple of years back. And I write articles every now and then, which I thoroughly enjoy. Wherever I can share something that can be of help to somebody else,
Yeah.
I do. And I think I will return to it someday, Stephanie.
All right, that's good to hear. So why did you pick? So you have relevant experience in other industries. Why did you settle with HR? Why is this the niche that you decided to focus on?
You know, I've mentioned many times to different people that I didn't plan on getting into human resources. I sort of got there by pure accident, absolute pure accident. But as I started to get more and more into the field, first I was having fun, I enjoyed it, but I found that it was the right medium and place for me to multiply the support and the help that I wanted to give, from a people perspective, from a development perspective. So this profession honestly just gives you the privilege to touch so many different people's lives in so many different ways. So that for
Mm-hmm.
me was a bit irreplaceable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So would you say that you're an outgoing HR or you're reserved HR?
Both. I think I am what I am, or I am what I need to be based on the situation. Some situations need more thoughtfulness, more care, more empathy when you think about what's happening in the world around us. Other conversations, depending on what the goal is, you may be focusing on development and capability building, where you need a lot more, perhaps, energy or a different perspective. So it's all about the situation and being able to adapt to that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, so if you were to describe your job in like 4 lines, how would you describe it?
Yeah, so I'd say, let me put it into two parts. Firstly, we in the current role, we're involved in a hell of a lot of coaching
Mm-hmm.
and consultation on different kinds of topics, from capability building to development to engagement, and of course, your sensitive, complex situations and sensitive situations. So there's a lot of that going on. And then certainly
Mm-hmm.
transformation initiatives, where we're trying to
Yeah.
drive change and improvement and innovation at large scale. So if I could put it into two big buckets, it's coaching, and then of course it's broad scale capability building and transformation.
Interesting stuff. So I find that most HR managers have to take on like the personality of a psychologist, right? So would you say that your background has prepared you for that? Do you have any prior education in that field?
So maybe the first thing I'll say is that whilst our job puts us in those situations where you have to be conscious of the psychology of a person, we're absolutely not psychologists, right? Unless you're a qualified psychologist, psychiatrist, or counselor. But I did study industrial psychology, and without a doubt, theoretical support in terms of what that means comes into the workplace. And as you start working in your role, and of course, we consult with qualified specialists as well. So we're learning from that perspective, but we are super careful when dealing with people that we don't take on a role that we're not intended to take on. So we partner with different people to make sure we put the right support in front of an individual.
Mm-hmm. So far, what has been your most memorable moment in your, 10, 20 years in HR?
Without a doubt, so it's not one thing, but it's one type of thing. When I look back and I can see the people that I've been part of in terms of their lives, contributing to their growth, their development, giving them an opportunity or exposure where they ordinarily would not have had that. That for me is probably the most satisfying and probably what keeps me doing what I'm doing as well.
All right. So I think I have the last question, or the second to the last question. What improvement do you think that the HR industry worldwide, right? I know that you're currently in Dubai, so it's a different, you know, flow from what it is generally elsewhere. What improvement do you think that the HR industry can make to further evolve, just like the fintech industry is doing, worldwide?
The funny thing is, I've lived and worked in different countries and I've consulted and worked across multiple continents or countries. And the one thing I can tell you is that, yes, there's country nuances and region nuances, but at the heart of it, to answer your question, I would say that we become so good at becoming experts in parts of human resources, but knitting this all together so that it's seamless and working for the employee's experience. That for me is fundamental. And then, of course, the adaptability that's needed in terms of transforming in this digital era, which is here, right? It's not coming, it's here. And the use of artificial intelligence in that. We have to be able to make better decisions quicker. So what
Mm-hmm.
does that mean
Mm-hmm.
in terms of transformation?
Okay. Like if you were to start like or if you were to support like a startup, right, in the HR space, what's the thing that you want, like a specific problem that you think we can, like that startup will be solving, that will, get you all hands in?
Look, I've been part of startups historically, so I'm obviously in a different era, right? We're in a very different technical age. For me, I think from a human resources perspective in a startup environment, it's really understanding exactly what the business strategy is. Look, on any given day, you have to know exactly what the direction of the business is. But a startup is in such a sensitive, precarious time, right, in its incubation and
Hmm.
growth that your HR partner needs to be partnering with you in a way that makes sense. So HR
Yeah.
servicing a business, not HR servicing HR,
Hmm.
let's just say, priorities.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I wanted to know more, like if you wanted to do a startup in the HR space, what would that be? What problem would you be solving? What's the specific problem that you have, you feel like it can be better, maybe in recruitment or onboarding and training, you know?
To be honest, I think there's room for improvement across the lot. But from I'd probably say from a talent and development perspective, I mean, there's the hiring, the onboarding, the development, the training, the rewards, etc. But for me, if you're asking me to pick one, I would probably say it's the talent development and career development piece, because skilling and the ability to learn very quickly to support a changing business is absolutely pivotal.
Hmm. Okay, so you'd probably do a startup that can train and upskill people, staff, or just even candidates as well.
Yeah, and look, the thing is, I've done this. The interesting thing is, I started a practice many years ago with one particular focus in mind. But when you start
Hmm.
working with different businesses, again, it depends on your adaptability and flexibility. You find that your solution creeps into other elements of HR. But
Hmm.
I definitely think that there's an opportunity for the talent development piece because it's changing so much. Talent development
Exactly.
5 years ago, 10 years ago was very different, right, to today. So it's the skilling. So I should actually replace
Yeah.
the word talent by the way with skilling. So it's about skills development and what that means in terms of the growth of an individual.
Okay. So I want to know a bit about your experience with Microsoft, right? Why is that a place that you decided that I really enjoy working here and I want to stay here for a long while?
Good question. And I wasn't actually looking when Microsoft called. I actually received a call to say Microsoft's interested. Would you be willing to have a conversation? And of course, I said yes. Right. I'm the kind of person that's curious, and I want to explore different opportunities. I had 7 conversations 5.5 years ago,
Wow.
and
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that I had 7 conversations. And the 7 is hopefully reflecting how broad Microsoft is and the exposure that they want to give you to the different individuals, right? Through every
Mm-hmm.
conversation, Stephanie, I learned a little bit more about Microsoft's culture. So business strategy and all these things are super important, but I fell in love, for want of a better word, with the culture that I was experiencing through the conversations with those individuals. And I thought, okay, that's a company I want to be part of, and that's how I joined.
I love that. I really love that because oftentimes, as a recruiter, you don't get to put as much energy into like the recruitment, the interview stage. Um, well, this points to the fact that the interview stage can be a make or break stage, especially if you have a top candidate, right? So I like that. That's what stood out for you, in particular. Um, I think the last question will be, what has been the HR platform or product that has made your life a lot better as a HR professional?
Absolutely, the use of artificial intelligence and Copilot that you see very prevalent right now from a Microsoft perspective. And it's helping me do a couple of things. Firstly, it's helping me work differently, saving time, um, focusing on things that require my specific attention rather than doing things that can be done through the efficiency of technology. And at the beginning, it's a little bit sticky because I'm one of those people that sort of set in my way. So I have to consciously be focused on, be open, Jasmine, to change, you know. But from that perspective, my day to day, if you look at a day in the life of Jasmine today, very different than what it was, let's say about a month ago.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the tools that I'm also very happy that exists right now is ChatGPT and just general like AI tools that help with content writing, right? So I've been able to, write content recruitment notes in like seconds on like how it would take days if you're seeing like 50 people. You have 6 days to go through your notes, edit, and then share, right? So I think
Yeah.
it's really important. I love that. So I think the last thing to do is that, Fridays I am IWD, right? And you just usually like, let's inspire inclusion. The team is inspiring inclusion, and in a way, I really wanted you to touch on how your role, you've been able to implement DIB processes, that's diversity and inclusion, all across board, especially in this remote world that we're currently in. Right. So I want you to talk a bit about it, and then we'll just do this posture, and then we can go.
First, I love the focus. I think it's so needed, and I think it needs to be the focus every single day. My biggest focus when it comes to diversity, inclusion, belonging, equity is about making it part and parcel of daily habit, not something that we need to do yes tomorrow, next week, next month, but making it part and parcel of daily habit so that it features in every single, part of our work environment. That for me, I think is where the rubber hits the road and where the real magic is in terms of making DE&I work.
Okay, love that. So this is what it looks like. Should I share my screen again, or did you catch it already? This is what it looks like, right?
Right.
I've done this a couple of times now. I think I'm getting the hang of it, but that's what it's going to
Oh
look like.
wow.
So you can just
Yeah, how did that happen?
how did what
Because you
happen?
you did that and hearts came out.
Are you serious?
I promise you, you did that right now, and a whole lot of digital hearts came out. That's why I
On
asked you, how did you?
Microsoft?
Wow.
So I guess they're already on board and they've already updated their system to do that. Okay, so do that again so I can take a screenshot, and that's what we're going to use as I think the cover image. Okay. So thank you so much, Jasmine. Good one.
Okay. You too. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.